Hello, this is Dr. Rebecca Wood, and this is the Week 2 lecture on the writing process. And the most important thing about the writing process is that we are breaking down a writing project into manageable steps. And you can use this writing process on a writing project of any length. The steps of any writing process, from a memo to a novel, include pre-writing. The pre-writing step seems like maybe it's optional, but it's not. If you skip the pre-writing step, which includes planning, brainstorming, and outlining, you will find that you spend more time in the long run than if you would go ahead and do this step first. Reflection and research if applicable. We need to think about how we feel about our topic and what we're trying to say. And then if the assignment calls for research, we would do some research at this stage. The next step is drafting, which is basically plain old writing, except that when we're drafting, we're not expecting perfection from ourselves, and we give ourselves freedom to be creative and also to make mistakes that we can fix later. And then reading our own work and also more research material if applicable, more drafting, some reading, some revision of our own work, maybe even our ideas that we're using to base our paper on, and also editing and proofreading, which come in the final stages. How many times do we repeat each step? Once or twice for a very brief project. If you're writing an email for work, you may do some of the steps in your head, such as the actual pre-writing. But if we're writing a big project, such as the entire series of Harry Potter books, we are going to need to repeat each step innumerable times. Pre-writing. Planning is vital to success. Our first step, of course, is choosing a topic, and even if we are given the topic, we need to make that topic our own, make it interesting to ourselves and our audience. And then the brainstorming, which is writing down all the ideas you can think of, and that's for your eyes only. No idea is too out there for your brainstorming. Just put everything down on the paper or on your computer screen when you're listing ideas. And then reflection. What do you think? What do you want your readers to think? And preliminary research if needed. If you're writing a research paper, you actually need to do some research even before choosing your topic so that you can choose a topic that is supported by the existing research. Then you need to organize your ideas, gather your notes. You might even use old-fashioned note cards. You'd be surprised at how useful they can still be. Or you may use a computer program to gather your notes and ideas. Outline your ideas. Put them into order. What fits, what doesn't. And then map your route from introduction to conclusion. What's your main idea or thesis? And what is your destination? So pre-writing can take your paper to the right place. So if you don't plan with your paper, you may end up stuck somewhere, or you may end up totally in the wrong place. So reflection and research. It is important to think about your topic. If you are writing a personal essay or some other project that doesn't involve research, your subject matter is all from your own experience and knowledge. However, if you're writing a research project, you need to know what you know already and what you need to know. And so if you already know a lot about your topic, for instance, you're in the medical field already and you use a lot of medical terms, you'll want to introduce that into your paper early on and say, I have worked in the cardiac care unit for 5 years, or whatever happens to be the truth, because you don't want your audience to think that you just lifted a bunch of information from your sources without citing it, which would be a big problem. So if you know all this stuff already, you can't document where all of your life knowledge comes from. So let us know that you're already an expert or someone who's studied a lot in that field already. And our handbook and the Purdue OWL are terrific resources for accurate APA documentation. And then, of course, I can't resist putting a cat picture into our lecture. Drafting the first zero draft It is okay. It's just fine for your first draft to be messy. Some writers call that first draft a zero draft. Nobody has to see it but you, ever. And then please use the Save As function in Microsoft Word or your other word processing program to save each new version of your paper as a new file on your computer or in your drive. And so I give each version a new date in the file name so that I can tell which version is older and which one is more current. And it might be that I need to go back to an older version in case I deleted some things I really would like to recover and put back into my paper. And you can also email yourself drafts of your paper in case your computer goes bad or is hacked by a cat, or you need to print something but you don't have a printer where you happen to be working now. And then reading and more research if you need to. You will have to read your own work. I know sometimes we might be kind of sick of an assignment. We say, oh, I don't want to ever look at this again. But the best way to write well is to read your drafts, maybe even multiple times, and you may even start having to read them out loud, printing on the on paper instead of reading on the screen. Imagine yourself in the audience. Do you have any questions? What's your point? Does it all make sense? Can you imagine your reader asking these questions? Do you need more information? Is everything from your research documented? Every single thing, including dates and statistics, anything you needed to get from your research needs to be documented. And then drafting some more. Drafting again, and don't try to write a 4-page paper or a 10-page paper or a screenplay or a book in just one day. Good writing takes time, especially when you have a large project. And then reading and revision, reading our own work and making it the best it can be. If needed, rewrite your introduction to fit your actual paper. I like to think of my first introduction as a placeholder, and I wrote it early in the writing process, and now I need to go back and make it actually match what I really wrote. And exciting new ideas and/or research material might have been added, and then you might need a new conclusion as well. So it's best not to spend too much time on the original introduction, since it will probably be rewritten later. Move any material that seems to be in the wrong place. We don't want to talk about what our topic is in the middle of the paper. We want to introduce it early on. And we may want to save our most powerful example for our conclusion rather than giving it away too soon in the introduction. And have we smoothly transitioned between each paragraph? Is everything documented accurately if you used research? Now, in the first 2 papers, we're not using any research, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. And the Purdue OWL is going to be our friend as well as our handbook as we continue writing in this class. So the last step is editing and proofreading. Grammar and spelling are very nice. They are not the most important thing in your paper. However, if you have a really well-written paper and you forget to run a spell check, it's going to look a little strange, so you don't want to do that. So now that your paper is close to fulfilling the requirements of the assignment, read it again carefully for missing words, typos, grammatical problems. You may even want to read your paper backwards just to check for words that don't look like they're in the right place or don't make sense. Read it out loud, like I said, print it out on paper, and save the editing and proofreading steps for last. And this is a good time to enlist help from a trusted peer, friend, family member, or coworker. But it is still your paper, so don't let your proofreading partner, your editing pal, take over your project, because it's really your paper and everything in there is your responsibility, and it should have your voice so that your instructor and anyone else who reads it can tell what you really think. I hope you all have a great week. Thank you. Bye-bye.